Welcome back. I feel like we need to sing a song. Welcome back to the Real Vets podcast. I'm so happy you're listening in today. I got my man Tyson Simonson, U.S. Air Force. Anything for us today, Tyson?
What was that?
Anything for us today?
A lot of stuff. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. It's been about 10 months. We haven't posted an episode since January. Unintentionally, I might add. It's just life gets busy.
I was thinking back. I was dude, every other week. Are we recording this week? We did that for 10 months.
Yeah, we kept hey, we need to record. Hey, we need to record. And it just, either my office was tore apart or I had some family stuff going on. So my office got filled with stuff or, just life got busy. And it's been a weird market too, which is one of the topics of our podcast today.
It wasn't as long as a 50-year mortgage. We know that.
Yeah, that's one of the things we want to talk about, actually. Yeah. 50-year mortgages? Are you kidding me? But, people were saying the same thing when they made 30-year mortgages.
Hey, I got my opinion on that. And when we dive into it, we'll definitely dive into that. So, and it's favorable, I think, but okay. So, and just to dive right in, so we're talking about 50-year mortgages, and you wanted to hit a little something about the AI, what is this, the AI disability something you're doing. You're on to something.
Yeah, we want to, so not only, most of our podcast has been about VA loans and helping veterans, one, just know what they can do with their loan because nobody tells them. Nobody goes in depth, and then every single time I have a conversation with a veteran, I tell them 4 or 5 things, and at least 2 of them they have no idea about. So, but I've been going through my own personal journey of doing my VA medical claim, which I know I got out in 2013. So I should have done that a long time ago, but I didn't. And now I am, and now I'm realizing this is another facet of our VA benefits that needs a lot more education on. And so I've been doing a lot of learning. I recently got my initial rating, which was 60%, which was really nice. And but I have been learning kind of the ins and outs. I've been doing a lot of research. I've been talking to a lot of people. I have a secondary claim in trying to follow up on the stuff that I didn't have enough evidence on. And I've made some great contacts, and we're probably going to have some guests on the show in the future here. I'm actually using a company right now that uses AI to help you with your documentation, referencing the correct stuff and the VA guidelines for your health benefits and stuff like that. I feel like I'm almost to the end of it, and so once that wraps up and I see how the experience went, it could result in a partnership potentially.
Yeah, I love that lived experience. That's how I started my advocacy. Yeah. It was I lived through it.
I had nothing to say about it.
Yeah, it was I was just going through it, and I was just paying attention to the emotions, and then I kind of got passionate about helping other guys understand what the heck was being said to them. It was all in language, And then with ChatGPT and AI these days, it breaks it down so cleanly. It makes it a lot easier to comprehend. I love it. And anything that, that's almost like the theme today. Anything that kind of lowers that bar and helps us understand, get onto the level. That's literally the overall theme today. Whatever lowers the bar to make it easier to understand, to get through the bureaucracy, to make money if it's a 50-year mortgage, all of that stuff is it's creating ways to make it easier for people to understand something that just has not been understandable up until we've all been alive. Honestly, who's really understood it? So
I meet tons of Vietnam veterans and Korean veterans, and I've bet that they've never done their claim, or they don't know much about it, or they've just lived with what they were initially assigned, and a lot of it is just lack of knowledge or understanding of the process, and also as a veteran we typically we just work with what we got. We push through. We don't complain. We're just all right. That's what I got, and whatever. But one of those obstacles is what are you actually owed? You know, what are you going through that someone doesn't know, or you don't know how to say it? I don't know how to put into words what I'm feeling, or what symptoms of this are related to this. But I'll tell you what, the AI stuff, sometimes people just aren't good at putting things to words. But if you give it to the AI, you say, hey, I got this, and this. Can you help me, you know, kind of dictate this in a way that makes sense, that I can deliver it to the healthcare professional that's helping me, that's assessing me? And that alone has been gold. And I use that in real estate too. Sometimes I get writer's block when I'm writing a description of a property for a listing, and I'm just like, I don't know how to make it feel good. And so I put all the main topics in it, tell it how I want it to sound, and boom, there it is. So I've been falling in love with using AI. It's just, you have to be careful with it. You got to double check everything it does, but it's been really useful.
So we got two really great topics today. And I think I think we should dive right in to the 50-year mortgage, and the hottest topic out there right now. And let me start off by asking you, before we even get into the numbers and everything else, what kind of difference would it make for clients if we lowered that payment $300 a month? Right, let's just say, because I looked it up. I looked up like a 500K, same rate. I went same rates on both, 500K, and it lowered the payment by about $300 a month. What would that do? So that would mean two things. That would mean either their payment's a little bit lower to what they want, or they're qualifying for a little bit bigger house, maybe from 400 to 450, 475. You know, up to, you know, right in that area. What would that do?
It would open up so many people, because there's a ton of buyers out there. I talk to them, and basically what they say is, oh, I really want that one, and it's just slightly out of their price range or what they qualify for. And if they just had that extra couple $100 of qualification, they could get that house that, you know, they could see themselves in for 20 years. You know, like has enough room if they had another baby and stuff like that. They're not settling for what they can afford. They're actually getting what they think they need. And so that I think it's going to do loads. Now, the last numbers I looked at was something around like the average person spends about 10 years at home before they either sell or rent it out, or their life changes and they move into a different home. So I think a lot of it depends on what your goal is when you buy a home too.
And I'll be honest, there has been a left and a right wing coming from loan officers on this thing. I don't mean to go political, but there has definitely been two sides to this thing on the loan officer side. I've seen posts, people upset about it, banks are making a ton of money, you know, and so of course for me, what I did is I dove in right into the numbers I wanted to see, you know, and I did a calculation. Everything was the same, numbers were the same, 500, there was a 500K. It was, you know, I think I did zero down on that. Even though it does take VA a little longer to adapt new programs. So that's one thing I'm kind of curious about, like how quickly is the VA going to adapt? You know, just because, let's take, for example, just real quick, not to get off subject, the ADU income from a property. Now, as far as I know, I haven't really dived into circulars, and I've definitely had my head in the dirt the last 10 months, it feels like, just working. And I haven't seen any updates on this, but as far as I know, still, we're not calculating the ADU income like we can on Fannie, on conventional and FHA homes right now. So if you buy a house with an ADU right now, as a conventional loan, FHA loan, you can use a portion of the ADU income rental to qualify. It's basically 25% of your income, and yada yada. So I mean, maybe we'll talk about that later at some point, but it's taken the VA longer to catch up to that. So with a 50-year mortgage, that'll be my biggest question: how long is it going to take them to catch up? You know, hopefully they do it fast. Hopefully they just release it all together, right? I mean, if they do it, my opinion is that any solution that we're working on that puts another tool in the tool belt as an opportunity for people to get into housing, I'm for looking at all those solutions.
Yeah, you know, I think when I think about it, I just don't want it to be taken advantage of by like the banks, the people making the money from it. Yeah. I don't want it to be, you know, kind of hijacked to the point where it doesn't make sense anymore.
it's my job. I feel like it's my job to make sure they understand how to make wealth in any type of loan they're getting. Right. So I just have to educate them properly. Okay. So we're going to do a 30-year term. We're going to do a 50-year term. We're going to do a 15-year term. I have to educate them properly in a way that they understand, like, hey, we're going to move in 10 years. Right. Well, okay. So just so you understand, here's what's going to happen. You're going to be paying less of your principal at that 10-year point. So we need to calculate the amortization schedule versus 30-year versus a 50-year. See, are you going to be okay with that 10-year? And try to do my best. Now, remember, economic award for projecting what rates will do and what mortgages will do is called the crystal ball award. So I got to bust out my crystal ball, right? Which I do with all the clients. I got my own little crystal ball, and I shake that bad boy, and I wait for the little snowflakes to drop so I can figure out what's going to happen next. I try to make an educated guess on what's going to happen.
I figured you just got a magic 8-ball and you just shake it up and you're just wow.
You could tell I was kind of going there I was crossing my references there a little bit. You could tell. But yeah, so I mean, I got to help them make that decision. Like, hey, so one of the things that was most interesting to me was the interest paid in the first 5 years on that calculation I did. For a 30-year was $154,000. For a 50-year it was $150,000, or vice versa. $154,000 on the 50-year and $150,000 on the 30-year. And I was like, that's interesting. Something to wrap your mind around. But you paid less principal, right? So your actual value of your home has not your actual equity that you have saved has not gone up as fast, and you've paid the same amount of interest. I get that. But at the end of the day, especially for like Washington State, our equity gains have been so much bigger than other states. It seems like most states, like when we gain, the market gains, we gain a lot more money in that in that appreciation. And so in Washington State, it changes the sell from maybe a different state, like North Carolina or somewhere over the Midwest. Maybe the educational on what's going to happen next is a little different. But I mean, at the end of the day, a 50-year mortgage could really help some people. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thought now. There's a lot of people where I feel like an ARM would have been a lot better for them. There's been a lot of people where I'm like, man, an ARM would have been really good for you. But there's such a stigma around adjustable rate mortgages that we'll just do the fixed. Even though the ARM would have been, hey, you're going to be here for 5 years, you're going to be here for 7 years. That 5-1 ARM, that 7-1 ARM would have been perfect.
Yeah. People just don't like the unknown. No. And I'm right in that boat. I don't think I'd be comfortable taking an ARM. I wasn't when I bought my first house. So, of course, all of us hear the stories and watch the movies about the 07, the 08 crash where everything's different now with lending, everything. But still, it's like, the rates changed and everyone's stuff changed and then they couldn't afford their house.
I need to do, because I have a really good understanding around adjustable rate mortgages, but I don't have a good understanding around what was sold in 2008. I know it was subprime mortgages. I know it was like there wasn't a lot of documenting and verifying and.
Well, loan officers weren't required to be licensed either, were they?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't done a whole ton of research around that, but I probably should. And then we should have a discussion around like ARMs today and ARMs then. And these ARMs, but we'll take all those ARMs and maybe break them down in a way. And I don't know. I haven't done the research to know if I can stop history from repeating itself with my new clientele, right? But I wouldn't mind looking. So, but all that to be said, my opinion is as long as we're taking steps to find ways. You talked about the portable mortgage, which has been something I've heard little whispers of too. Which I mean, for the portable mortgage for guys that got a 2.25 rate, that sounds like fantastic. You know what I mean? Like if you're moving that around, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I would have to understand, like how title would work, how the new lien would work, how would the um, how would what the difference is we paid on the new house? Is it two mortgages now? Because if you're transferring the mortgage as a portable, a $300,000 mortgage for a $500,000 home, are you portabling an extra 200K and paying that down? And then is any lender going to give you the rate with that? I mean, almost just like a second, assumable in the second. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. Does the rate follow you like a credit score or something like that? I don't
well,
know.
there's a lot. Well, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to get new money on those old rates, right? So no one's going to spend new money to lose that much money unless we want to get into more government subsidies, which just that seems to have not gone over well recently. So, oh man, so yeah, I don't know. My opinion of the 50-year mortgage, I think anything that we're doing to try to make it more affordable for buyers and get them into um, get them into houses. I think as long as it's sold properly. And one of my great mentors when I first got started in mortgage, he told me, he said, "Don't be a douchebag." I was like, "What are the laws?" I'm like, dude, I just had to go study like 50 laws on mortgage, or all the laws on mortgage, probably more than 50, even, right? It's way more than 50. And he said, "Just don't be a douchebag." And I was like, "Sweet." So as long as loan officers are out there doing the right thing and doing what's best for their clients and staying compliant, I mean, uh, it should bode pretty well. But we know that's not going to be the case when the brass comes to tax. It's just not.
Yeah,
It's just, I wish it was. But
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, what's our? I think we've kind of dragged out the 50-year mortgage as much as we can until we get more information.
I mean, it's a
Um,
pretty long mortgage. We could drag it out pretty far.
right, right. But what's another topic that we wanted to talk about today?
So tell me, who is this company that you are doing the AI disability claim with?
So it's called Vet Claims AI. They're out of Texas, I believe.
Texas.
And I did a ton of research. I did like several different, I think I contacted 5 different companies that,
Mhm.
a lot of them, you got to be careful because some of them will say, oh, you don't owe us anything up front. But then when you do get your rating, we're going to take this much percentage of either your back pay or so many of your monthly payments that add up. So you could pay 6, 10 grand to a company doing this. But I solely focused on the companies that had an upfront fee and what they provided. And Vet Claims AI, which is the one I went with, um, I reached out to them. An actual rep who's a veteran reached out to me and talked to me. One of the other companies, somebody contacted me that I couldn't barely understand them. English was not their first language, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't starting out really well." You're like contacting me to try to set up a meeting with a guy, with this other company literally just called me, and I was talking to the person that was going to help me. Huge difference, huge difference. But yeah, they charged me like $1,250 or something like that. And if you don't get a rating increase, if they can't help you, they give you your money back plus $500. I'm like, what can you lose, right? What can you
Wow.
lose? Yeah, and they use a proprietary AI system to help. They take all your info, all your previous documents. They actually interview you, talk to you about all the issues you're having and everything, and then they use their AI system to help write your statements. And it references all the stuff like if you've got a back issue, it references that part of the VA guideline for that. They also, when you have a CMP exam, which is the exam where you go and get looked at by the contractor for the VA, that's the person that's really going to hold most of the weight in what kind of a rating you're going to get for your condition. um, they'll actually schedule a coaching meeting with you to talk to you about, okay, when you go in there, you need to ask these questions. You need to make sure you're being asked these questions because if they're not asking you these questions based off this condition, they're not checking everything. And like they do a lot of education. They teach you how to do it yourself, but then they provide you this awesome AI tools. And so I was kind of fanboying on them just by the videos I watched on TikTok and everything else. And so far the experience has been really good. I've already had one CMP exam. I got my main one coming up here soon, and I've got a coaching call to come in to talk to me about, hey, here's the ones this one's checking. These are the things, these are the questions they're supposed to ask you for that. If they're not, you tell us, we'll contact the VA and we'll get you a better CMP exam. Like they get down into that. It's really cool. And so if it goes well and nothing hiccup, we might be able to have the owner of the company, who's also a veteran, come on as a guest and see if we can combine powers and work together to help veterans actually get their claims done. Because these not knocking on VSO reps at all, not knocking on them at all, but there wasn't any coaching about what to say or not say when you go into your exam, how to not put your foot in your mouth, and teaching you to actually voice when you're feeling pain. Don't push through it, because you're going to shoot yourself in the foot when you do range of motion and stuff like that. It's just like, well, where does the pain start? It was like, oh, well, it started back there, but I went ahead and pushed through and reached all the way down to my toes. You're not supposed to do that. Even though that's how we're trained in the military, you're not supposed to do that in your CMP exam. You need to, if it hurts, stop, tell them, it's that kind of stuff. And that's what I did in my CMP exam when I went through the VSO. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to, you're supposed to, be a little vulnerable and tell them, hey, this is where I'm feeling pain. It's like, hey, touch your toes. Okay. Ow. It's like, how much pain are you feeling? 1 out of 10. I was like, oh, the normal amount. The normal amount's 0. I'm like, oh, cool. It's not the normal amount for me.
Normal amount. Yeah. And I like what you said, not to knock on VSOs. And I'll tell you, right? I mean, it's real obvious on VSOs and what the issue is there. They're underpaid.
Oh, yeah.
VSOs have are inundated with a workload to perform the job of an attorney, right? An attorney's office. I mean, technically, if you're going to file legal paperwork for a claim, L&I, what do you have? I always think of it like L&I. You have an L&I attorney who literally fights for months and months and years to get your injuries through. There's all kinds of issues. I deal with it in lending all the time. Not all the time. It's one of the banes of lending's existence. L&I temporary disability. Like, they've got all these steps they go through to get their disability, get them back to work, or, finally agree them permanent or whatever, right? Settle claims and all that stuff. I mean, how is this any different than any other job injury? But it's got its own proprietary system, right? So they got their own system.
You got to play the game.
Basically what we're asking VSOs is here, make 55, 60 grand a year and file $7 billion in claims for veterans. You know what I mean? Like,
and I could tell they were inundated. I applied and I didn't get an appointment for 2 months, right? Just to go in and sit down with the VSO. Well, and then one of the nice things about the VSO is they file the paperwork for you. Vet Claims AI teaches you how to go in and file it yourself. Like they give you all the tools and they say, okay, go to this link. It logs you into VA, brings you right to the file upload thing, and it has you file it yourself, because they're technically not a VSO. But
nobody understands how to, like, and that's a huge breakdown, because really we need that barrier. There's got to be an investigative breakdown, right? There's got to be an investigative breakdown to understand who it is I'm filing for, what conditions they're filing for. So now basically you got a veteran coming in there that says, hey, I get pissed off when I got 10 people around me saying that, and no other corroborating understanding of what they're supposed to do. And an inundated VSO who's got to get them in and out to get to the next one, or whatever, right? Doesn't have time to really understand. I mean, I know there's many great ones that take the time to understand.
Yeah.
But they just took that time away from another veteran. I promise you, they did. And so it's just insane to me because it's like a lot of us, the military was a second grade reading level, right? So how do we understand our medical conditions, right? Like I didn't know I had PTSD. I didn't know, never knew I had anxiety. Thought I was just having a panic attack or whatever. I didn't, I never knew. I didn't know these nightmares weren't normal. I didn't know none of that. Like I don't know that stuff. I didn't connect that dot to my military service or whatever until the awareness started getting created and yada 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 and and if I'm a vet that's really jacked up chilling at home because I've got no symptoms taken care of because I haven't claimed a claim and I haven't been to the VA and I haven't been diagnosed, that breakdown is going to continue because the first stop is usually a VSO's office or one of our veteran service organizations, right? So that's who they reach out to, and I'll be honest, it's just a lot. There's a lot of vets, so.
Yeah. And there's also the other stigma. There's some people that don't like the fact that veterans can get benefits for the stuff they went through. I've encountered that, and I think it's messed up. But some people have that opinion, and I've had it said to me. It was just like, "Oh, well, you're just getting a handout of money or something." It's like, hey, dude, I went over 12 years without saying anything or going for anything or not connecting. I wasn't looking for nothing. But when my brother got out of the Army and he got hurt, he got medically out, and he was my first exposure actually to the process. And he was talking to me, and I was like, he basically pushed me. He was like, "Hey, I think you've got some stuff going on. You need to go do this." And I'd known there was a problem, but I finally did it. And that was and that's been within the last 10 months since since our last podcast. I put a claim in. I went through all the stuff, got it through. There's been a lot going on. So there's a lot around this topic that I've been learning about because I want to bring it here to the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's great. So I think, we can start kind of wrapping this thing up, but, I think in a closing thoughts here, we went over the 50-year mortgages. I think the whole theme of this whole thing has been really just, finding better ways, more innovative ways to help people get their needs met. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, and I think it's important to both of us. We love that stuff. I mean, it's exciting when we help these guys in one way or another. Whether it's to purchase their first home or to get that disability claim through or whatever it is, which sometimes it's both, and so I think this is all good stuff. Anything you want to say on the way out the door of this thing, Tyson? Or?
No, just, please let me get down to it here, actually, because we haven't talked about this. Like and subscribe. We need more followers. We need to spread the word. Yes, I'm a realtor. He's a loan officer. Obviously, we want to help veterans, and this is our jobs. We make money doing this, of course. But the primary goal of this is to get the information out to people about all the things that could help them that they don't know about, and just making their lives better for them and their families. And so I just please like, subscribe. Just take a second. Hit share, post it. This is going to be on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify. We're syndicated out to all the podcast websites. So please just take a moment, share it. You never know where just your one share could help somebody change their life. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do here.
All right, guys. Well, you all have a good day, and I'm off to, I've got a party tonight, so.
Oh, well, thanks for the invite, asshole.
A little fundraiser. I got one seat open.
One seat open. All right, well, we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.